Keep going. Damn journey.
I really love that you say that. It's I'm like, thank
Sometimes
you.
I really mean it. Yeah. Growth is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It just is.
Mm-hmm.
And not growing is hard.
Yes.
And so choose your heart, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that it's suffering.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is learning to adopt a different point of view, which is hard is teaching me, right? This is a great opportunity to learn something new. Mm-hmm. And I can say that, and then I'll fall back into damn journey, and then I come back around. And I think that the more work you do, the more frequent that ability to shift back out of the damn journey feeling is, it's just more present. So and like I said, the alternative of no growth, I'd probably be dead, honestly, if I had not changed. Yeah. And it's not probably, I really think I would be. Literally, I would have offed myself, or some other disease would have finished me off. My Inner Knowing, empowering you to find your compass for the journey. We are dedicated to supporting you to rediscover and trust your natural ability to navigate life each day by sharing insight and experience through the lens of two professional communicators and their guests. We intend to prompt internal inquiry that supports all those willing to explore a unique path.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Today is our 100th episode.
Yay.
And now I need to look at the camera. And we want to welcome our guest, Mandy Froehlich. Mandy was our first guest on our podcast, January of 2024. And so Walker and I thought it would be fun for Mandy to come on and ask us questions because she says, I have questions. And so from a listener's perspective, we just thought it would be a great conversation. And so we didn't really script anything. Mandy had posted some questions online, and Walker prepared answers for that. But other than that,
you're not supposed to rat me out. Now she's going to change the questions.
He's prepared.
I just put him away. Okay.
Well, I first wanted to say thank you for both of you to just jump out on the limb and start the podcast. Mm-hmm. I am an avid listener. And so one day I was like, I have a lot of questions for you. I bet other people have a lot of questions. So, and I'm a curious person, so this shouldn't be too hard. But my first question is, what is your favorite podcast episode? Mm-hmm. And why?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'll let you go.
What is my favorite podcast episode? It's hard because I could answer that from so many perspectives. But if I think about it from a self-growth perspective, me singing the lullaby I wrote for my kids would have been my favorite, just because that was significant for me on a lot of levels to put that out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great.
Nice one.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. I like it. Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Two. I've got two.
Okay.
I liked Man versus Bear. It's also one of the hardest episodes. Mm-hmm. And it's because it shows, I like surprises with my predisposed thinking. And the first time she mentioned that was maybe a week before. And I was so certain that what a bullshit topic that was going to be, just to be 100% truthful about it. And I got my eyes open a lot throughout the whole episode. And so hard, but also one of my favorite because it just is a really good example of being curious and also appreciative when we learn something new. And that was a big one. It was very emotional for her. There was a lot of trauma associated with it that I just, frankly, as a man, did not appreciate, period. So.
Yeah, I like that. I like listening to that. It was
Yeah.
cool to see the transformation over the whole hour. And I don't think you are alone in your initial thought,
Yeah.
just from your position,
Yeah.
talking to other men and kind of having the same just limited perspective.
I was
But it was
defensive.
cool. Yeah.
Defensive.
Yeah.
It's like, seriously,
Yeah.
why would you consider me more of a threat than a grizzly bear?
Mm-hmm.
And now I know.
Yeah. That's cool.
Mm.
Okay, so kind of along that, what have you learned the most since embarking on this journey with the podcast? Related to the podcast, maybe it's somebody you interviewed or even just putting together a podcast yourself or an online learning course or I don't know, anything that you're like, wow, if I wouldn't have done this, if I wouldn't have taken the step to do the podcast, I wouldn't have learned this.
Mm. Well, that is a really big question. Because I'm like, oh, there is so much. Do you want to start with that one?
Sure. Theresa does most of the production, so I don't have to worry about that. I try to help out when I can, but I haven't had to go through those pains other than being along. And also, I have learned from a growth perspective. I started this just by wanting to support Theresa. And it's something that she wanted to do. And because she wanted to do it, I was like, sure, I'll do that with you, even though I didn't want to have personal conversations, et cetera, in front of thousands of people. But it is, I've grown through that. And I feel like, aside from the production piece, that I have a meaningful role, that I have important things to share, just by being vulnerable and being honest and imperfect. So I feel like I'm finding and still finding a voice in that respect, and stepping in to being a partner with her in it rather than just a supporter. So that's been been a really nice thing and gives more meaning to my existence, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can say from a listener's perspective, it's nice to have your perspective, the dynamics and even the honest conversations that you guys have. Like you said, just the example and the vulnerability. I think it's really awesome. And it adds a lot of layers to the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. And sometimes I'll say things that I'm afraid that will offend people, et cetera. And Theresa talks me into leaving those in. I mean, we have really only cut maybe a couple of things ever.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Other than trimming, the front and the back end. But being, learning to be brave in that respect. And the part about, well, you may not like me and I can be okay with that.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't mean it's not scary in the process, So anyway, lots of growth, I guess, is what I would say overall.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
How about you?
I would say lots of growth as well. I think most of us struggle to some degree with hearing our own voice or seeing ourselves on video. And, for me, that came immediately because I was doing the production. And so it really wasn't, I suppose there was choice. I could have just been like, forget it. But it really has been a growth process in me learning to accept more of myself. So my voice, how I appear, my thoughts, what I share. It has been really helpful for that. our relationship, it's interesting because what it makes me think of is, the course that we created, it's a lot, it's like a graduate level relationship course. And I think everybody could benefit from it. What I know from feedback we've gotten from people is it's like, wow, I thought we talked about things until I took the course. And then it's like, oh, we actually don't talk about much, but we think we do. Mm-hmm. And so even for us, whether it's, the podcast topics, create an opportunity for us to talk about things that we wouldn't normally talk about, but they're important to us. If we go even with the man versus bear episode, and I shared with Walker at the end, I've never said this to you, but, right? And it offered him more perspective, on who I am and what's in my mind and on my heart. And so that piece, I think, is really valuable. Doing the course in and of itself, it's just like a lot of us, and our thoughts and how we engage with each other's in the course. Putting it on paper was interesting, right? Like there's the way of being, and then it's like, well, how do you talk about that? And then how do you write about that? And then how do you help people to learn from that, right? Like it was a lot. So there's so many things, Mandy, that I feel like have added, to our lives and our relationship. And I know it doesn't always work out that way for people. I'm not saying that it's going to do that for everyone, but for us, it has been. So
I think that's awesome to hear you say that you're having conversations that you maybe wouldn't have had. I remember before you even started the podcast and you guys were playing around with the equipment and you're like, we just turned them on just to play with it. And you had a conversation, you had the headphones on and you were just kind of in it, there's no distractions. And it kind of feels like you've been able to cultivate that over the last almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because it's this ongoing conversation.
Yes.
And it's neat that you are like, that's still really valuable and was helpful.
Yeah. So
in that regard, I love when Walker talks about the DM journey because it's very relatable. I remember talking to you, I feel like I said this at one point, or at least I thought it, of the damn journey. I can relate to that. Like, this is exhausting. And at one point, Theresa, you said to me, well, we can't always be mindful. We can't always do all the things. Mm-hmm. Number one, do you still feel that way? Because maybe it's changed because it's been a while. And do you take breaks from this whole podcast is surrounded by growth and how to, information, and it's very helpful. But on a real perspective, and because you guys are so authentic, do you take a little break? Are you like, I don't feel like growing today. I want to take a nap. I don't want to do, because I can say, for myself, it's just like, I just want to relax for the month of September. I just kind of gave myself I'm just going to not do, it's not going to be forever, but do you guys do that? Or do you find that where you are, you don't really need to because it doesn't take as much effort the further down the road you are?
Great question. You want to go first?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Because I have views about you.
Let's go.
It's not a bad thing. We're just very different in that regard. Absolutely, I need breaks. And there will be days when we come over, she wants to do, and I'm just like, I can't. I'll come over and try, and we may get started. I'm just like, it is not going to go well if I keep trying this. I do the little T-Rex arms, And she's really cool about that. It's like, okay, well, because we've got a production schedule to get to 100 episodes takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
But those are just on a day-to-day basis that may come up. I would say 98% 8% of the time I'm ready to go. But what I believe in any personal growth journey is it's just like planting seeds, or life. There, you have to respect cycles of nature and cycles of our experience similarly, right? Which is there's fall, there's winter, spring and summer. And if we're constantly going to the next retreat, constantly going to the next seminar, I think that we have diminishing returns on the growth factor, because there's no time for letting that, germinate or grow or get planted. It's just, you're blocking the path, my opinion.
Yeah.
And so absolutely. And I'd like to be more intentional about it. And then my observation unrequested is that Theresa has a really hard time shutting off. It's just how she was born, how she was raised, which is always, always, always doing. And she gets so much done. It's amazing. And sometimes I have to say, we are going on a break. It's when we went to Esalen. She was about to pop. I'm like, we've got to go somewhere. How about this?
Yeah.
And she was thrilled. So when she needs another one, we need to go do that again. And so hopefully you're taking this in the way that it's intended, because she's lovely in so many ways. It's just I don't think gives herself enough of a break. And it's just out of giving, honestly, to others. She gives and gives and gives.
Yeah.
So let's go on a break, babe. Oh, what are the tears?
I think mostly just that you see it, that you can say it, that you want me to take a break as opposed to taking advantage of how hard I work. I think, you asked about, taking a break. I think it is important. I'm very aware of the need for that. I'm looking for my Kleenex. I got it. Or I don't. That's okay. I found it. So what I would say, Mandy, is that I think my recovery time is quicker. It's not that I don't need a break. I just think that what I know is, we're going to leave next Wednesday and we're going to head to Oregon to get ready for the retreat. And what I know is that week of Walker and I, getting the house ready, which isn't just getting the house ready for you guys to come. It's creating space together and something we love, doing. And we work really well together in that. We have nice vision together. And so, for me, what I know is that week will be what I need. I already know it. I know that that's what I need. And I will be good. That will be my reset, and that may not, be what Walker's process, is for himself, but, we're just different that way. Going to Esalen last year was that, process for me. I do think I need it, more often, but, I'm still, Walker and I are together, but we, he has his bills. I have my bills, right? I have 4 children. I have, one that's finishing one just finished college, one's finishing college, one's getting ready to start college. Like it's not, my life isn't inexpensive, The podcast is expensive. I mean, people, they don't know, right? Like all that goes into like trying to create something like this. And, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't have the time to do it, nor the desire to do all the things that some podcasters do, which is to create everything. Like my brain would not find that part interesting. And so for me, there's always the balance about, like what amount of time can I take off, right? So that I, feel like everything's okay in that area. I do think that I know this, I don't know if I'm just trying to figure out how I want to say this. I value downtime differently than I used to. And so I do feel like I can give more. I know that I can give more. I give more now than I have ever given. I don't feel like that it wears me down more. I just think truly for me, the break is just what helps me get more clear. Is like there's a different part of my brain that can engage if I can take a break. And so that I find valuable. Like we're trying to figure out, what does 2026 look like? Right? And I'm like,
yeah.
right.
It looks awesome.
It does. But we haven't made any decisions. We've just talked about like, what about this? What about that? What about this? And for me, what I know is in order for me to get clear in regards to that, I need that time, in Oregon to just step away, create the space in the home, which then will, allow me to get more clear about, what else is coming next. So I just think it's different. But I do, I can do more because I feel more aware of myself and more grounded. But I'm also trying to find the balance, like, and it's really, I think my desire has changed. Like, oh, I really desire more of that. Like going to Esalen and sitting in the tubs. And our goal is to have those tubs at our house, not, you know what I mean?
Perfect.
So probably not when you're there in 2 weeks, but in, hopefully next year they will be there because it's, my body likes nature. All of our bodies like nature. Some of us are more allergic to things, but it's powerful. Yeah. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. And what would you say to somebody who's listening that, is trying and they're getting started and they're getting exhausted by it? Or can you see what you went through in the early years and how it evolved to now where you don't need the breaks? And maybe what I'm hearing you say is it's because you're living your purpose and it's fulfilling, and that's cup filling instead of energy draining. But was it always that way? Has it evolved, like for both of you, when it began to now? So you kind of answered like now, but what would you say to somebody who feels like the road is very long and tiring and the journey is heavy? Because when you get started, it really can be.
Sure.
And or, sorry, I have a lot of questions. Pick what you want to answer. What got you started on the journey? Was there no choice, or was it like a choice? And so the evolution and the beginning of the journey. And if somebody is there, what would you say to them?
So for me, it was pain. Really what I was aware of, if I go back to when I stepped into this, I would have been probably almost 30. So 25 years ago, I was just in so much emotional pain. Like I had a very specific view of what I thought relationship was, and it wasn't that. And I was confused and felt helpless and hopeless. And it's like something has to be different. Something has to be different. So that's really when I started the journey of trying to understand people and myself more, I don't know, directly. And what I would say is, for me, I just never stopped. It was like at some point, I was like, oh, I think this is actually the rest of my life. Like, I don't think I'm going to go to therapy and like they're going to have the answer. I mean, I think that was it initially, but then I was like, sometimes they don't have a fucking clue what to tell you, right? And I recognize that, myself as a clinician now. I was not a clinician when I started. So I was like, oh, I think this is the rest of my life because this is really complex, really understanding why I do anything. I was like, wow, there's a lot that feeds into that. So I had that awareness and then pain in the process. Like, wow, this is so much. I need to take a break. I need to not read another book. I need to not go on retreat right now. I just need to practice really like on the daily. What does this, look like? And then I changed. And then my life goal became healthy relationship. Recognizing that is the most important thing to me. And I am going to never stop trying to figure that out, as hard as it is, as complex as it is, as messy as it is. I'm never going to stop trying to figure it out. And that was motivating. I didn't know that there was freedom on the other side. I just kept hoping, like, please, like there has to be. And then realizing that there was, learning to choose myself, understanding my codependency, where I was, not allowing growth in relationship because I was trying to manage growth in relationship. If this person just did this, it would be better, so a lot of allowing, yeah. And I can see clearly the growth piece. I think it's something that I can do well as a therapist is like, well, I can see how much you've grown. I can look at like when I first met you to today and let me just start listing out the things. Right? And so I think I have that, ability to be like, oh, well, that's how I used to do that. And that was helpful. This feels more integrous to myself. I'm not waking up in the middle of the night worried. I'm not having a hard time falling asleep worried. I'm not regretting, so there were things that I could see. These are changes happening in my life and in my relationships that were just more motivation to just keep going. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So what about you?
Keep going. Damn journey.
I really love that you say that. It's very, I'm like, thank
sometimes
you.
I really mean it. Yeah. Growth is hard. It just is. And not growing is hard.
Yes.
And so choose your heart, I guess. And it doesn't mean that it's suffering. What I think is learning to adopt a different point of view, which is hard is teaching me, right? This is a great opportunity to learn something new. And I can say that, and then I'll fall back into damn journey, and then I come back around. And I think that the more work you do, the more frequent that ability to shift back out of the damn journey feeling is, it's just more present. So it just, and like I said, the alternative of no growth, I'd probably be dead, honestly, if I had not changed. And it's not probably, I really think I would be. Literally, I would have offed myself, or some other disease would have finished me off. So, that really started with interstitial cystitis and then cancer. And I'm still dealing with the cystitis, but cancer, they caught it early. It just was one of those things. And so, but I believe 100% is because I just kept eating all the bad stuff and stuffing it down and never working on myself to realize that, if you keep living that way, that you're not going to get a stay.
Yeah.
So you feel like your body was the main turning point. The body was talking more than your thought of the pain. I mean, it's interesting how it's both pain, but it's different from what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Well, the battle between the mind and the body mind.
Yeah.
And it's still going on for me. I still am dealing with the autoimmune stuff, but I'm not stopping. And I've got big plans. So I'm not stopping.
Yeah. I think it's cool to hear you say that, because there's so many people that have autoimmune that their body is talking to them in ways that it can be. It sounds like your body was talking so loudly you could not ignore. There's a lot of people, their body's talking and they can ignore it for a while or kick the can, and it sounds like you got to a place where you were like, I have to change. Something has to give.
Yeah. But it's, it's not a magic pill. That's why it's the damn journey some days, right?
Yes.
Because we make all this progress and then, and then we roll back down the hill or whatever. And, I haven't rolled all the way back down, but sometimes pretty far. And then just, find another path and keep coming back. And so my body is still speaking, but I'm doing a lot better job listening to, this isn't working for me, and so I'm still working on finding my purpose. So I've got a lot of discovery to do, but it's an exciting space to be in as opposed to fear space.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt confused or overwhelmed in relationships? Theresa and I have come up with a free mini course that we think will really help you out with a lot of the common relationship experiences so that you can improve your communication skills with all of the people in your life and really make a change for the better.
Yeah, we really believe that everybody deserves the opportunity to learn healthy relationship skills so that we can get through life having a good, healthy relationship experience. So click the link, put your email in, you'll get the PDF, spend a few hours working on it, and please let us know what your experience is. We know it will benefit you in some way. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that one was pretty good.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Check. That's really cool just to hear you guys reflect on the beginning, because I think so many people can relate. Fast forward to now, what have you been learning lately? Like if you were to first thing that comes to your mind, doesn't have to be anything big, but what are you learning right now within the last month or week, or any big lesson or any big insight or aha that you're like, wow, I see this, I know this, or whatever it is.
You go. I'll pass. That's a big question.
It is a big question. I would say what comes to mind first is my role as parent and believing, if I go back to the integrity piece and healthy relationship and, recognizing that, I as a parent have changed so much in the last 30 years. It's crazy. And then the letting go of that I I mean, I'll be involved in there and, a mentor if asked, but really trusting the effort that I put into being a parent and not expecting, not shaming myself for not having done it perfectly. I would say is really where I am mostly, right now have been working on that. There's a book that I'm listening to called The Unshaming Way, and we just interviewed Dr. Bedrick, and he'll be on next week, I think. And just that, that significant level of awareness of how shame is so present in us almost all day, every day, in our thoughts, let alone the words that come out of our mouth and how we treat our body and how we treat others. And, so that, as I've been listening to that book over the last month, that's been really helpful. Hard when you just, I know it because I work with it in the therapy room all the time, but then to hear it the way he talks about it is just like, it's so heavy. It is so much. It's so much. So that's for me.
Yeah, I wanted to look into his course, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be really good for me. Just past trauma with shame is a big deal, and it's common. So, yeah. Well, for me, I've been seeing a new therapist for the last, I guess, this year. And she started me on a keto diet plan. That was her first recommendation, was to do that, to help with brain fog and fatigue and those sorts of things. And so that's been a big thing for me this year because I'm down 60 pounds. Yeah. But also the work that we're doing around, I think is it internal family systems?
IFS.
Yeah. And it's, for me, it's parts work, but you can describe it a lot of different ways, but there's a real growth piece for me around, and it's a little scary, because when you start talking about parts work, it feels like, what do you call it?
DID.
Yeah.
Multiple personalities or dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah. I'm like, do I really want to say this? Because it sounds like somebody else is talking, and that seems like a dangerous place to, go. She's like, it's okay. I'm not judging you. Just say it. But it's been really powerful, Mandy. And there's, what I discovered was, for me, what I call a core wound. And that's not something that she came up with. Maybe I heard it somewhere along the spectrum of, the work that I've done over the last 8 years. But finding that core wound, and it goes all the way back to being a baby. And I had talked about it before in therapy, but I never really recognized what that was. And so I've recognized, I was kind of the save the marriage baby. And so when it didn't save the marriage, I don't think that I was wanted. And so there's, a lot of, and I've talked about it in a couple of episodes, I think, just about, the story was being put in the closet in my crib, and I was told that as a funny story, but it's really not funny. And I shook the crib so much that the crib collapsed. And so that abandonment piece for me and the acceptance and shame associated with that is like a core piece. And being able to recognize, and I'm going deep into my therapy stuff here, but it is when epiphany was the word that came to me when you were asking the question. And so when you recognize what parts of yourself get put into place to protect that baby, right? The abandoned baby. And so there's a part of me that I call the wet blanket that puts the baby to sleep to protect it, right? As if he never came here. And then there's another part that's like this rage piece that's angry to protect the baby. and lashing out. And so that those parts, you know, and the blanket comes on when the rage piece comes on. So, oh, that's dangerous. We can't feel that way. We can't tell people what we really think, all that stuff. So better go to sleep. And so I'm in the midst of the work on that. And that's huge after 8 years of therapy and 57 years on the planet, you know? So anyway, it's a big piece, and that's part of the damn journey, which is it's no fun to talk about those things in therapy or anywhere else, really. But if I don't go there, then I'm stealing my future from myself. There you go.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, what came up for me when you're talking about that was an episode where somebody asked you, I can't remember exactly what, did you go skydiving?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Got
but
to
they
get
said,
down below
but it was the
220
episode.
pounds.
Okay. Well, it was the episode where they said you like to be a thrill seeker or something like that. And I can appreciate just as how you're explaining that. When I was listening to that episode, it was just really helpful when you go through the process and you're kind of explaining your observer and what you said and like, should I, you're kind of going back through it. It's so helpful. I just feel like the whole podcast in general, you guys are so vulnerable in talking about your process. I can personally relate to a lot of it where like, oh, wow, somebody said that and I reacted. Like, whoa, what's going on? It's so helpful to hear somebody say that and go through the parts and then to be able to explain it. And there's like another level of understanding, even when you're talking through it. Sometimes I hear in your conversations where you're like, well, I never told you this story, and you're like, oh, I always love that. Because I'm like, oh, here we go. Yeah. What is it? We're all learning. But I think that's really cool. I knew you guys had something up your sleeves because you're always learning and there's always some growth piece, which is really insightful, whether small or large, I think is really cool. Well, so on that topic, what's your, if you were to say, I'm actually really curious this answer. It's not anything big, but what's your favorite book? If you were like one or two books that you're like, this has really helped me.
Wow.
What would it be?
That's so hard because I'm thinking, man, I have a lot of books.
But if you're like, if I hadn't read this book, I wouldn't have known this and it wouldn't have taken me here.
So interesting. So I would say for me, The Body Keeps the Score was very helpful. Though I think for a lot of people, it can be pretty overwhelming and dense. And so the book I am recommending right now is The Unshaming Way, because I think it is much more, how I was explaining to David was that he's not just talking about it, he's demonstrating it. And so I think, and that's what our goal is with the podcast, is to show it, right? Us having these conversations. And so, David sharing those client sessions, obviously with permission, I think is really, really helpful for us to see how our trauma impacts our body in a very different way. But The Body Keeps the Score, I think really when it came out, I was already trained in hypnotherapy and psychodrama. And so I had like a lived sense, but having that when it came out in words that I could like say, hey, this is a hard read, but it's going to be very educational, was helpful. And then the Michael Singer book, The Untethered Soul.
You got me.
Yeah. And I think while it wasn't like, oh, my observer is all developed now, right? It was still a nice like language. Like I was able to name this process that I experienced. I'm like, oh, that's that. I can call that, right? My observer. And so I would say that was really helpful. Again, having like the language. So what about you?
Untethered Soul.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. It's
Mhm.
just, it was the first one that came to mind. And I read a lot, but I didn't understand witness consciousness until I read that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we did a book.
Well, I was going to
tour
ask you if that was the
on
first time you had read the book.
It was for me.
It was
what-
not for me. It was
Yeah.
not.
It
That
was not.
that
Was
my-
it during COVID? We had a
think
group.
it
It was
was,
on,
Yeah,
on
it
a
was,
webinar.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
But I don't know
Yeah.
if it was 2020 or before that. It might have just been, anyway, around that time.
It was
Yeah.
probably 2020.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I talk a lot throughout the podcast about the pause between stimulus and response, and that languaging came later when we did the training for the mindfulness meditation
Oh, sure.
teacher training
Mhm,
program
mhm, mhm.
with Jack Cornfield and Tara Brock. But in any event, Michael Singer laid the groundwork for understanding that more, and that pause, it makes a huge difference in our lives. And to get that pause, when you can do witness consciousness work, helps you understand what the pause is all about.
Mhm.
And that pause makes me a better human being.
Mhm.
At least I've made choices versus I just acted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In so
Yeah.
many ways, it crosses the spectrum of all of our behavior.
Mhm.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm always successful, but
No, but
much
it's
more than I
helpful.
was.
Yeah, it's helpful to hear you talk through some sequences that you've, from being in the courtroom to just on the street, in different situations. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
And just to walk through that, because I don't think everybody even realizes that even exists. So like you said, it's like, and I remember reading that book and it was just like, woo,
Yeah,
right.
it was.
I'm like, I need to read it again.
Yeah,
Well, and I think having conversation like we did about it when we
Yeah.
did that was helpful too, because then we could all just share. What did that mean? What do you think that means?
I don't think I talked a lot though, because I was like, I am so confused. I was very early on and I hadn't done all the neurofeedback yet. It's amazing to see this makes so much sense now. But
Yeah.
I love that the process, for me, it was like, I have a voice in my head. Say yes.
Mhm.
Scream yes.
Hello.
Whoa, who are you? Wherever you start, it's just cool that he's piecing it together like that for sure.
He is, but
Yeah.
it's a trip when you first start
Yes.
learning about it.
I'm going around asking people, "What do you hear voices in your head?" Yeah. Okay.
Well, I didn't mean those voices. I meant the other voice.
What would
Yeah.
you say is the most uncomfortable podcast that you've ever done? Was there one that you were like, oh, either before, during, or after? I don't know. If there, or even maybe not. Maybe there wasn't one.
The most uncomfortable. I would say the most uncomfortable for me was when we did our very first video interview and I forgot to hit record. And then I had to tell the person that we didn't have it.
Oh.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable.
And then you redid it?
Yeah. No, we didn't. We had it be audio instead.
Got it.
Because we didn't have it.
You had the audio.
We had the audio. We didn't have the video. So, which is why I leaned forward about 4 minutes ago and checked your camera because I was like, damn it, did I turn on Mandy's camera? So I have a little bit of reaction. I'm always like checking every
That's
camera.
funny.
Yeah.
The blind interview, it's just us talking.
Right. That would be the most uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, now I have
Awkward.
to tell her.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. We didn't get that. Anyway.
Well, you got to do over. We just did a second episode with her because she came out with a new book.
Yes.
So
yes.
we made sure that the camera.
Yeah. That's awesome.
How about you?
I would still have to come back to Man versus Bear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Being that unaware was hard. And being so certain in my unawareness, because I was certain. I was, like I said, well, this is bullshit, and it's because of the defensiveness, but that's hard. And it was concerning to me that the women listening to the show would be like, God, what an ass. And maybe they did. And frankly, in certain respects, I was, because I did not understand. So that is uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable during, it was uncomfortable after, to acknowledge that. But I'm glad I recognized it through the process. Just, that just wasn't my experience. You know? And it's just so easy and it's a pretty good mirror for the world we have right now. We are so certain, right, of the justness of our position. And you would think I would know this after 30 years as a trial attorney, right? That there's probably another perspective, but in any event, not comfortable. Even now talking about it, I'm looking in your eyes like, is she like, yeah, that's right, Walker? We were thinking, what a jerk you were.
No, because I think so many people can relate. I really do. Like I said, I talked to other people and they were like the same as you were at the beginning. It's the fact that you were able to have the conversation, be open, willing to shift and not stay within your position out of ego or, whatever that is. It's very hard to swing the pendulum to the other side and go, oh, like how great is that to model it?
Yeah.
Being open to influence. Yeah.
Open and humble. I mean, there's a lot of humility that you are very wise, but I think a lot of people are drawn to you because you're real people. And there's a certain humility about the two of you that's really relatable. I know I appreciate it. As well as your wisdom. Always.
Thanks, man.
Oh, let's see here. I don't know. I have most valuable lesson. We talked about that. Is there any lesson that you feel like has been the most valuable? And it could be anything that comes to mind, really, podcast related or not.
Do you know?
No.
Okay,
especially when you open it up to the entire 57 years I've been on the planet. Oh, wow.
What is my biggest
I've had
lesson?
a lot.
I would say for me, I mean, when you said that, I was thinking, to be curious, stay curious, always stay curious. Yeah, when Walker and I were talking this morning, he was like, what's your favorite episode? I was like, I don't know that I have a favorite. And I was like, curiosity killed the cat, because I think, that's so important. Is it the true? Because that's so important. Is it is what it is. I will fight no more forever. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so much, but really none of it would be possible if we didn't stay curious. So for me, it's like, it's so important that we can go back to that even when we're feeling attacked, and the desire to defend ourselves or prove a point, that we could step into curiosity.
I love that you said that, because you were the first person that I can remember that gave me permission to be curious. I'm sitting here now asking a million questions. I have more that are coming as you're talking. And I've always been that way, but I never felt like I had permission to be curious. And then it was okay to ask more questions, stop at some point because it could get annoying, but I really, because I can have a conversation with people, and I love asking them questions. I would rather ask them the questions than that, because it's fun to learn. Yeah. So I love that. I love that episode too. What was it? Curiosity
killed the cat, and satisfaction
brought them back. Yeah.
Yep.
I've never heard that. Till that episode anyway. Yeah. I think being reminded, it's just like the man versus bear, but that's just one example. The lesson for me is that I don't always know what I think I know. And treating that as a gift when it comes is so much more adventurous. And And so I do like being surprised. And we had the episode when I came back from the hike with my brother-in-law, where I was all judgy about, the female on the hike, from New York and all that. And I love having my judgment thrown out the window. It's like, no, wrong.
Yes.
And it's just a pleasure to have that happen. And sometimes, your ego takes a ding in the process, but it really is it's a cool experience because it makes life so much more enjoyable when you can look at yourself and chuckle that you were so certain. And well, guess what? The universe is going to teach me something new today. And I get taught a lot, Mandy. I do.
I can totally relate to all of that. Oh, so much. That's so good. Along those lines, in your awareness, what do you, this is a hard question to ask. I'm going to word it in the right way. As best as you are aware.
Right. Yes.
What do you, if you could pinpoint any blind spot, do you feel like there's anything that you're like, and that's hard because it's a blind spot, know, but like, is there ever like, oh, there's something over there.
Sure.
I just don't want to look at it. I'm not that aware of it, but it's just like a little hit of something that I want to avoid or what uncomfortable, I don't know, whatever comes up.
Anything come to mind? Go ahead.
Blind spots are not comfortable to talk about.
We don't talk about
Gosh,
those.
Mandy. We're going to delete this part. What comes to mind for me is just time management. I'm horrible at it, And then if I don't manage my time well, then I'm avoidant and it just makes it worse. So that's one blind spot. Anger is another. But I think that I shame myself more over the time management. And like I said, even at 57, it's hard to say, it's like, come on, seriously? And you can't just own it now? Even after 100 episodes of my inner knowing? No, sometimes I can't. I want to deny or blame and come up with excuses. So, yeah, interesting. It really doesn't have anything to do with the podcast, but maybe it does.
Tell me more about time management. What do you mean by that?
It's particularly with the lawyer work, just taking care of clients, when they need to be taken care of. And, if I call it falling off the back burner of the stove, and sometimes, then when that happens, then I'm avoidant and then they get angry and, all those things. And I don't want to be that way. And I don't want to be that way in handling anything, but it's just sometimes I cannot get to it all. Whether it's just poor time management or bit off more than I could chew or physical problem, whatever. I could come up with all kinds of excuses, but I'm trying to say, I don't know. I shame myself. You've got to own it, because I learned that playing football. No excuses.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm kind of swimming in it now because it's a really hard question to answer. But if I was to, I don't know, feeling shame around that. Maybe it's I don't work as hard as you. I don't know. Gosh, your turn. I'll come up with something really intelligent to say tomorrow. Why didn't I say that?
That one. That's a better blind spot.
Whew, I'm sweating now. Oh, God.
Walker's like, take it over, Theresa.
No, it's okay. Watch. I'll just sit in it. As I think about it, Mandy, since Theresa is pausing even longer, I think it's the self-shaming piece probably that's behind it. That I get into that and then it just cycles. Is probably what the truth is behind it. Because it's easy to do. I mean, we were in Chicago over the weekend playing darts with my daughter and her lovely boyfriend. And I'd miss a shot or whatever. And I don't know what I was saying even, but I must have been not being kind to myself because Teresa's like, you're really hard on yourself. Did you know that? And I think that's just an example of that goes on in the background with me still, despite doing work on myself for 8 years. It still goes on all the time. So more work to do.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks for that answer because I think that's sometimes it's hard to pull back all the layers even. I was thinking about one of your retreats. I think, didn't we do one on shadow work?
Yes.
Sunlight? Yeah. It's hard. I mean, even like working on it, and it can change, but I think that's cool to see it.
Yeah.
Now it's your turn.
Well, I'm just going to make sure we're good on time. Oh, yeah. We've got 7 minutes. Okay. So
go.
I would say quickly, I am working on actively creating awareness in myself that when I'm in the therapy room, I do hold space like I just was, and I'm fine sitting with that. I really want people to have the space to see where they can go, as we just did with Walker. But sometimes that's not helpful for everybody. It's not helpful for everybody. For some people, my holding space feels judgy. It makes them really uncomfortable, like that I'm criticizing them or thinking negative things about them. And so I'm aware of that on a different level than I was before. And what I want to do is figure out how to be comfortable directing them more to their body experience. I mean, really the book, The Unshaming Way, as I listen to him, do these sessions, I'm like, that is a skill that he has that is so much more developed than mine. Told Walker that at the very beginning when I started reading it, and I just like that is something that I don't feel like I know how to do well. I think I can hold space well, and my energy is consistent and grounded, but there is a curious body inquiry piece that he does that I'm aware I do not know how to do that. And I can talk about the body, like, where are you feeling that? What's happening for you? But very different than he does. And there is a tenderness to the way he does it and a care that I think is like
You really like him.
Yeah, which is like congruent with how I walk in the world. But there is like a part of me that's like my brain goes a little blank when I think, I had that happen yesterday and I was like, where's the answer? And I really literally couldn't find it, and so recognizing, and I'll talk about that, right? We have rooms in our brain that have answers and the answers aren't in there. It's just the labels on the door, but you open the door and there's nothing in there. Like, that is how I feel around that. I do not know how to do it like he does that. And I want to be able to. So I think I demonstrate care and nurturing in other ways, but there's something about that I feel like is, I want to access that part of me. It's in there. I just don't know where it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really cool.
Mm.
I'm excited to listen to this podcast that's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
it's
sure.
good.
Yeah.
He's good. His material's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. It's very helpful. The very last question I have that you may not be able to elaborate on a lot, but I feel like it's a good one to end on. Is there anything you can tell us about what is coming in 2026? Anything that you guys that you can say? I realize there could be some things that are like a big reveal or a secret, but is there anything that you feel like you could share with us about what's next?
Do you want to start?
No, you can go ahead.
You're like, I don't know what we discussed that
No,
we can
I do
say.
know. No, I do know.
I could be like jumping ahead, but
No,
I am
no.
curious.
No, I think
Secrets, yeah.
no secrets. I think it's, Mandy, I mean, this is part of it. Like, we've talked about a lot of things, and there is a part of us that recognizes that, the world and the world, I mean that literally, but also, the United States specifically, I feel like is in a huge transition, whatever that is. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, but I know we're in it because we are all out of our patterns. And so, what is that going to look like on the other side? In reality, I think, social media is going to change, over the next 10 years. I don't know what it looks like, but, I mean, young people aren't on Facebook much, our generation and older is. And so what does that look like as that generation continues to not be here? And how are we connecting? I feel like there is a pull to more in-person things. And what does that look like? And so we're trying to, we know we're going to do more retreats next year. We know that they're going to be at least in Oregon, potentially some other places too. We just don't know for sure yet. But we just know that the amount of growth that can happen when you are with a committed, smaller group of people, and as you know, is powerful, and we just keep wanting that for people, more freedom, more, I don't know, that I always go back to the integrity, I just want you to feel like you're living the life that is congruent and authentic to you. And Walker and I, whatever, we understand, we can sit with anybody, whatever their beliefs are, and really just see their humanity. I mean, we are messy, messy beings. And so we talked about doing no small talk dinners, where we have people come and it's, there is no small talk, what would that look like?
That sounds like a dream. And all the introverts show up,
right?
Because they don't have to.
They don't have to.
Yeah.
No small talk. What does that look like? Yeah. Right. And so, we're
well, we didn't say it's a no talk dinner.
Right.
No. But maybe this is me, but I feel like the introverts are like, let's just get to the deep stuff.
Right.
Like, get to the meat of it.
Right.
Like, I don't care about the weather.
Right.
Who knows what that's happening,
Exactly. Right. And no alcohol. Right. Yeah. I mean, fully present.
Sober.
We're going
conscious.
in. Yeah. Sober, conscious, and so we're just trying to figure out what does that look like, longer retreats, we typically just do 4 days, but what would it look like for us to do a longer retreat?
We're envisioning like a giant yurt.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
For the gathering space.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I told
cool.
Walker I want a big round table like the Knights of the Round Table or King Arthur's Court or whatever. Yes. And we can sit around with one of those, those things that spin food, like in the middle of the table, and we can
awesome. Except it's 10 feet across.
Except it's 10 feet across.
That's cool.
So we're just trying to, figure out the community piece, both in retreats and locally. Because I just think the reality is our human bodies need that. Mm-hmm. We need connected interaction. I just think we suffer so much because we may be around people, but we're not connected, and our body needs feedback, and we need more positive feedback. not so much negative feedback, whether that's relationships or, news or social media or work or whatever. And so from a body perspective, we need it. We need it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just trying to figure out, what does that look like? So no specifics, but we're working on it. Yeah.
It's exciting. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on
Thanks,
the
Mandy.
100 episodes. It's really cool to be here now and then and in between as a listener. So thank you guys so much for sharing and answering all my questions.
Yeah.
Thanks for being such a supporter. We really appreciate you, and we need to have you back on to talk about your growth.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should shoot for recording in December and do January, because then that'll be 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm guessing you have a lot to share that would be helpful
She does.
for people
There's been a lot.
to learn from your journey the last few years.
Maybe so. Maybe. Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's just been a big experiment. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's
yeah.
a lot
Just
of permission for people to do that too.
Yes.
It is just a big experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mandy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to explore life with you. We encourage curiosity, self-growth, and we strive to be more compassionate every day.